Good morning, internets. So today I'm just making this quick video to go along with my recent article on, sit down here, my recent article on Hitoe, Hitoe gamai, Hitoe tai, Kanada, and it's, excuse me, I seem to be getting a cold here, and, yeah, so it is a position or posture in regards to keeping the body sideways on, as such. Now, so I like making these videos. It's sort of too long, didn't read version of my articles, but then I ramble on too long. So let's get right to the point here. This sort of body positioning, I don't know if you can hear me here, this iPad is not good at this. So this sort of body positioning is derived from Ninjutsu way back in the late 14th century, in which case it then passed on to Kage-ryu, and by extension Shin-Kage-ryu, and carried on through many of those sorts of traditions. It's most prevalent in classical traditions where the individual is wearing armor, which means most of the body is of course covered. They needed to do something to account for the fact that there is openings in your armor for the enemy to take advantage of. So as such, and also a defense against arrows to make yourself more profile, more small. And as such, what ended up developing was this sort of methodology for standing completely profile or sideways to the enemy. This is something that applies both on battlefield and in single confrontation scenarios. It is very counterintuitive. It doesn't come naturally, but it's it's a lifesaver. And when you use it as one of the foundations to your taijutsu or to your martial arts practice, then it makes a lot of sense. In fact, we can see it in many competitive taekwondo practitioners because they take advantage of the length of their legs. They quite often stand profile to the opponent in order to take advantage of the length of their legs and use their hands defensively. And it mitigates the amount of targets for them. So, yeah, without further ado, so this is something that came from the sword and the spear. And accordingly, we've got my favorite 7-foot spear here. So, generally speaking, the basic position for the spear is something of this sort. And we can see here, if you stand profile, then everything is pretty much covered. The only opening is the leg, in which case, as I've gone over before, Hitoe is a thing. But it's also easy to defend the leg with the spear. Now, when we're wearing armor, the primary openings is the armpits, the backs of the legs. Most higher end armor ends up having a sort of pleated skirt, but we've still got the face. So we can see here pretty much everything is covered. The armor of the hands helps protect the armpit. If your posture's any good, mine's not, then you protect the armpit like that. The head is covered by the tip of the spear, Seigen, as well as this tremendous amount of reach we've got going on here. And you keep your lead foot pointing at the opponent so that the armor can best protect you. If you've got your foot sideways on here, your hamstrings, the back of your knee, your Achilles tendon, all this becomes very enticing targets. And the biomechanics are different to be able to try and retract that in Hitoe. Whereas if it's straight, it comes in way more appropriately and ergonomically. Right, so we can see already in the martial postures of found in the Bujinkan and the 9 traditions there, by extension the ninja traditions associated with that, we see postures like this, where it's pretty much the same thing as the spear. Right? We've got that Hitoe in there to protect the leg. We've got this hand here to be able to deal with your armpit, whereas the hand's not hyperextended here, so this still isn't a target. Right. Now that particular tradition is a little bit less profile. So we see positions like this. It's the same sort same sort of position. You can see the spear here. All right, and the sword, of course, same sort of thing. Right there. Everything is in line, and you keep yourself guarded like that. All right. This also helps to protect the center line, which is kind of an important thing in every martial art ever. If you don't understand the center line, you're at a massive disadvantage. So by profiling and pivoting away like this, you're taking the center line away from the opponent. All right. And accordingly, when you move, you've got much less preparation, much less preparatory movements. So if we're here, jab is right there. Just as here, the thrust is already there. You need to cut. It's all there. You can keep everything very minimal. You don't need to create big arcing attacks constantly, although those are certainly in there. And then at a certain point, we start to see movements where you're able to pivot. And that ends up being its own sort of creature. So here, we've got Nakaseigan. Seigan, Nakaseigan. So as you can see, everything's still guarded. The armpit's covered, the face is covered, legs are still subject to Hitoe. So, the idea there, Hitoe, as it's called, is literally to basically stand profile to the opponent. The character itself is kind of like, it's like a single layer. If you were to translate it like that, Hito being like one ichi, and the A, I can't remember the kunyomi for it off the top of my head right now, but the A part of Hitoe ends up meaning like a layer of something. So it's kind of like to be like a single layer of paper, paper thin, facing the opponent. And at that point, all they can see is half your body. Now in Ninjutsu, excuse me, in Ninjutsu, you're seeing the same sort of thing, but the attitude is a little bit different. Whereas previously it's with the sword and spear, even unarmed, can still be applied like that. In Ninjutsu, it's more of an attitude. It's a sort of presenting only half of the situation. You only give the opponent what you want them to have. You don't needlessly provide them with information. By standing profile, that was a standard at one point. We see this in many sort of woodblock prints, and it's discussed in traditions like Yagyu Shinkage and Yagyu Shingan-ryu, Katori Shinto-ryu, although way back. I don't think we even have footage of that. And similar such things. It also goes by a couple other names. In Ninjutsu, Ichimonji is the prevalent term, which basically means like a dictionary term, it would mean the character of Ichi one. But it's referring to the shape of the kanji for the number one, which is like a straight horizontal line. And so in this case, it means in the context of ninjutsu and in the context of combat, it means to basically stand on a single line. Your feet, hips, and shoulders are all on that one line. You're only showing half your body. And accordingly, if you take this position properly, you can actually use your rear hand to manipulate tools and such, using a system of body mechanics called undulations and isolations. Right? So, if we're here, cool, and half my body is forward, and the other half is hidden, wow, I should have stretched before this, the other half is hidden, then this hand can manipulate whatever behind you. You need to prepare tools, blinding powder, so on and so forth. Let's say we've got the kimono. Alright, so your rear hand, while we're here, your rear hand can actually slip into your gi, into your kimono, your uniform, your whatever, and prepare shuriken, mitsubishi, blinding powder, whatever else, explosives. Now, I mean, the chances of having the opportunity to stand there, forever and do whatever sort of preparation, obviously not very realistic, but it ends up being something interesting to experiment with anyways. And I mean, you weren't going to do any sort of preparation slowly. I mean, you take the position in response to an attack while the other hand's doing something else entirely. Could be drawing a sword, could be drawing a short sword, dagger, could be drawing a pistol. The list goes on. So, in any case, that's 10 minutes, typical of me. And yeah, so check out my article for more in-depth details in regards to that. I'm thinking of doing a series on the subject. And capiche? I'm also thinking of doing a short series of some basic Hojujutsu ties, because I've got one gentleman that's on my case about firstly defining Hojujutsu for everyone and then not having demonstrated it. Well, not a lot of people are too keen about being tied up in a martial arts way, so I need bodies, huh? Come give me a poke and I'll tie you up then. Get you on camera, your spouse will love it. In any case, that's the end of that. Check out the article for the rest of the details, and cheers.